Hey y'all, this is Jocasta Lester. How are you? In this video, I want to talk to you about sound decision making, um, sound relationships. I'm not really too big on relationship advice, as I understand that there are a few key things that need to be met before you enter into a relationship, but I don't like getting involved in others' personal affairs, you know what I'm saying? But when it comes to avoiding some really big pitfalls that I ran into, I want you to know that there are indicators that a person is struggling. See what I mean? There are indicators that a person is struggling spiritually when you meet a person and when you deal with them before you marry them. Okay? And these are some things that I saw about my ex-husband that I didn't understand that I was seeing. When a person has a spiritual problem, one that is overwhelming, one that is dictatorial, one that is overbearing, and one that could work to the detriment of your prosperity or could affect it, it could adversely impact your prosperity. Okay? Um, a person with familiars and like an evil root in their families and things, when you're with them, there are people that condescend to them openly. They disrespect them freely. Um, in other words, they feel like they can talk to them any old kind of way in front of you. Um, they tend to have a cry out thing where they say stuff like, you playing yourself to you as the spouse, like, or as the girlfriend or somebody that they're involved with. They'll talk past that guy or that girl as though they see the girl that they're with or the guy that they're with, and they diss the person that they're with. So in other words, you're the person they're not going to diss, but they're going to diss that person to you. And you're like, where did that come from? That was out of left field. They may get in fights a lot. They may be challenged a lot on their masculinity. Or they might start fights with people that, you know, are around, but in other words, they seem on edge. Another thing, let me see. That's one thing I saw, that it would be people that cried out around us. And I'm like, what is this? And they really, really treated him poorly. And I didn't understand it. But he would be ready to fight and things. So I'm like, what is this going on? Like, what are these voices? It was something else. But I noticed when my son was born that these spiritual problems showed up in the hospital. They were all around. And I'm telling you, people started to behave evilly. They were just strange. It was almost like all of my big days, my happy days turned into sad ones. It's like it went from being like a happier life. It wasn't perfect, but it went from being happier times to there being, all of these darker spiritual presences that showed up during moments that were supposed to be good ones. Okay? So that it rains on graduation day. The day that you have your baby, the husband or the boyfriend has to be gone. He's somewhere else instead of being there with your children being born. Let's see, weddings. People don't show up their RSVP. Like, it's a lot of things that I've gone through. Then I'm like, you know what? He was dealing with familiar spirits or something. I later learned about his dad being something like a witch doctor. Also, another thing, the person, regardless of what you feel or what you say, they seem world detached, but not in a way where it's just like, okay, I'm choosing the Lord over the world. They can use that as the way to cover it up, but it's almost as though they're off in another place, in their mind, potentially fighting and warring with spirits that are talking to them and trying to live actual life absolutely while being in a place that is an abstraction dealing with you. So what am I saying? If somebody daydreams a lot and they drift off, but it's not daydreaming, they're off dealing elsewhere. It's not like they're thinking up, because after this daydream, it's not like a good idea or like a brilliant thing is coming afterward. It's not like they were daydreaming and it turned into something that was really fruitful. No, this person was off somewhere and it really was consuming their mind, and they were distracted by whatever it was that was continuing. And if they tell you that they hear a voice that guides them in life, leave them with that voice. It's not to be cruel or to be mean, but stick with that person as a friend from afar. You have circles. You got an inner circle and an outer circle. That outer circle is to keep track of that person so that that person doesn't fall by the wayside. In other words, love that person from afar, but don't bring them into your inner circle. That person has spiritual stuff that comes into your life and means to destroy it. And there are certain things that you do, certain commitments that you make under God, that once you make those commitments, you open the door to that person and what they're living into your own life. So that some stuff, man, if they had a familiar problem, they had a bunch of women after them, a bunch of men after them, whatever the case may be, they come to you. Now you're married. Now your debt may go up. All types of stuff may happen. So I'm just saying to you, two main things that I say. There are voices around, like people around that cry out strangely, and they say things that are dismissive and disrespectful to the person. And two, they're not as keyed in or tuned into life. And another thing, I'll give another thing, but being distant from life, but being there. In other words, they're aware, but they're distant. And they're distant from what it is to be their connected self. They have some connectivity, but it's not so much so that it's deeply and intensely so. So that it's like they're here, but they're not here, but they're trying to find their way back. And another thing, I just forgot, but yeah, I'll just leave it there for now. And repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Have a blessed and marvelous day. Forgetfulness too. I'm telling you, it's stuff that makes you forget stuff when you're trying to say some things. It's not normal. And there are a lot of things that are in our bodies in particular. Like when we talk a particular way, when we sing a particular way, when we sound a particular way. I'm telling you, there are things that come into your life and draw nigh to you in an effort to sink you as a person, in an effort to be one with you as a person. You don't want that in your life. And you can notice a spiritual stronghold on a family by how the family, if the family around this person, they talk more slowly. You think it's a southern drawl, but really no, it's demonic oppression. Like they're trying to talk and they are being held back. If they speak in that way, if you find that their conversational flow is not natural, okay? If you find that there are people that, they're nice and they're sweet, but something ain't right about them, right? If they have a lot of, drug addicts, prostitutes, different people in their family. Again, friend from afar. No romantic involvement, and be clear about it. You do not want to date this person. So, thank you for watching my video. You guys take care. In other words, if they come from a family that looks like they're struggling, avoid that. And don't go into situations looking for their family to be paid and trying to be in that. But understand that you have your own goals, your own aspirations, and you want someone with you that you love that can help you with those aspirations, but also that you can be close with. You don't want something or someone in your situation that for some reason Satan got in between them and you, and they're attached to the satanic instead of you. And you would be fighting Satan for that person back in order to have that person. It's a difficult struggle, and some of us are not as willing as others to get into it. If you are willing, just understand it before going in. So have a blessed and marvelous day, and you guys take care. In other words, everything looks wrong with a person. And people yell at the person like everything's wrong. And that person even checks out when they're there. Know it. Blessings.